democracy is very much alive and well. Madam Speaker, on behalf of the government, I wish to thank you for the very astute and even-handed way in which you have conducted the affairs of the debate over the period in particular, but certainly your performance as Speaker of this Honourable House since your session. The clerk, acting clerk, and her team have worked assiduously, effectively, efficiently, and well to enable a smooth flow of the activities of this chamber and to enable the speakers all. And I'm so pleased that we have had such a fulsome participation to complete their presentations well and to enable a full appreciation of all the critical points of view which they wanted to put forward, the policies, programs and actions and activities of speakers on the government side, and indeed the cut and thrust, Madam Speaker, which would have come from the interchange between both sides. Madam Speaker, this government continues to steer the ship of state through the ravages of the COVID-19 pandemic. The world recognizes indeed this as being perhaps the first of its kind to have so embraced the entire cosmic scene that indeed more than 200 countries were infected and affected by this pandemic simultaneously. So, Madam Speaker, the World Health Organization declared, as we knew, the public health emergency of the international concern regarding COVID-19 on January 30, 2020, and later declared a pandemic on March 11, 2020. As of June 10, 2021, more than 174 million cases have been confirmed, with more than 3.75 million confirmed deaths attributed to COVID-19, making it one of the deadliest pandemics in history. Madam Speaker, as our Prime Minister pointed out, the COVID-19 pandemic has had a profoundly negative impact on our economy. We've lost just over 1,000 lives. Every life lost is one too many. And I offer my deepest condolences to all the families, friends, and colleagues who have lost loved ones. The pandemic and the measures designed to tackle it have had dramatic effects on economic activity. The Planning Institute of Jamaica projected that the economy contracted by approximately 10.2% for the calendar year 2020 and 12% for the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2021. This is the largest annual decline on record and was the first annual contraction since 2012. The economic decline in 2020 to 21 was driven by a massive 70% contraction in our tourist industry. The pandemic has decimated our foreign exchange inflows from tourism, which are projected to fall by 74%, or 2.5 billion in 2021. Again, Madam Speaker, this level of fallout is unprecedented in our history. Madam Speaker, after performing phenomenally well on this Prime Minister Andrew Holness-led administration's 2016 manifesto, we followed up with a 2020 manifesto, setting out a clear way forward as we continue to battle the pandemic. We are keen on recovering, Madam Speaker, stronger, faster, and better. We are committed to ensuring an accountable government that promotes unity and partnership while faithfully serving all Jamaicans. Madam Speaker, our focus is on the following: recovering stronger, ensuring that our economic output is restored to pre-COVID levels in the shortest possible time, and that our recovered economy is more diversified and even more resilient. 2, ensuring that the Jamaicans are working again at the same record levels or better through a consistent and cross-cutting drive for job creation with supporting elements of innovation, training and apprenticeship. Transforming our education system to provide our children with access to quality care, education and training so they all have the best start in life. Building the safe, secure and just Jamaican society for which we all yearn. Improving access to health care and promoting healthy lifestyles. Investing in our people so they can realize their full potential. Enabling and empowering all Jamaicans through the provision of national identification, access to the internet, and a more effective and simplified delivery of services using technology. Supporting our most vulnerable by strengthening the social safety net. And this reflects the manifesto position, as I indicated, of 2020, taking climate action locally, globally, internationally seriously by promoting and implementing clean and green policies to secure sustainable development and a healthy environment for our future generations. So in closing this debate, Madam Speaker, I seek to pull from the presentations of the ministers in relation to those 9 points which are at the heart of the manifesto that we've put forward. Indeed, I pulled from both sides. I just want that point, but indeed, in relation to the manifesto, and you must appreciate the contextualing of this whole presentation. So what we're saying, despite the pandemic, I'm happy to say that work goes on and we continue to be in full alignment with our manifesto commitments. For Labour and Security, our first speaker, Madam Speaker, as we recovered faster, stronger and better, we begin with the work of the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, which indicated an allocation of $800 million to implement the social pension program for this fiscal year. Indeed, Madam Speaker, this program is the first of its kind in Jamaica and is the largest social protection initiative to be implemented by the government since the introduction of PATH almost 20 years ago. The Honourable Minister of Labour and Social Security, Carl Samuda, who announced his ministry has allocated $100 million for members of Parliament to provide greater assistance to their poorest and neediest constituents. We are happy to once again share that the National Insurance Scheme also had an increase of $476.2 million as at February 28, 2021, moving from a negative, Madam Speaker, of $245.06 billion as at February 28, 2020. Management and excellent performance. Economic growth and job creation, Madam Speaker, as we recover faster, stronger and better. The Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, the Honourable Everett Warmington, highlighted that the National Works Agency is projecting to spend $4.7 billion this year to undertake recurrent activities, which is a marginal increase over last year's budget of $4.5 billion. These activities include emergency repairs to roads, river training activities, the cleaning of gullies, island-wide disaster mitigation, bridge development and construction, the maintenance of secondary roads, as well as traffic management and control. The construction is also to commence on several projects during the 21-22 fiscal year, which will provide approximately 400 acres of additional special economic zone space at an estimated value of more than $1.3 billion. We are also working to improve water supplies to more than 150,000 residents at a cost of $8.8 billion. Under the project being pursued through a water purchase agreement among the NWA's Vinci Construction, Epley Limited and the Jamaica Producers Group together in a consortium, a water treatment plant will be established at Content in St. Catherine, which will deliver an additional 15 million gallons of water per day for customers in the corporate area as well as Portmore and the Spanish Town area. Under Justice, Madam Speaker, the Minister, the Honourable Delroy Chuck, in his presentation, as we recover faster, stronger and better, stated that the government is working to revise and modernize several pieces of key legislation during the 21-22 fiscal year. They include the Judicature Parish Council Amendment Act and the Judicature Appellate Jurisdiction Amendment Act to grant limited right of appeal to the prosecution, the Criminal Record Rehabilitation of Offenders Act, which will expand the powers of the Criminal Records Rehabilitation of Offenders Board to consider applications for expungement, and the Mediation Act. Madam Speaker, the advent of COVID-19 forced us to pivot and change the way the court system operated. We were happy to be updated and to indicate that the country will have hearings from the Court of Appeal conducted remotely, using video and teleconferencing, and that at the Supreme Court, bail hearings and mention matters were moved into the virtual space. This allowed for adherence to the necessary distancing protocols and resulted in greater convenience for court users and more efficient use of the court resources. The Attorney General, Madam Speaker, the Honourable Marlene Malahou-Fort, indicated the efforts that are being made to address in a timely manner the backlog of matters pertaining to pension benefits in general and those for beneficiaries of deceased members of the security forces. Additionally, between February 1, 2020 and March 31, 2021, the Motor Vehicle Accident Backlog Project Team successfully negotiated and settled matters that saw payments being made by the Ministry of Justice amounting to $12 million. The Attorney General, in her presentation on April 28, also shared with the House that a cadre of paralegal officers had been created with the support of the Justice Training Institute. Madam Speaker, I note with interest that the Ministry of Finance and Public Service recently approved of the organizational structure for the department for the centralization of all legal services. And that was very important by way of a development, Madam Speaker. On the matter of investment, commerce and industry, Madam Speaker, as we recover faster, stronger and better, we continue to recognize the critical and strategic role of the investment sector led by Minister the Honourable Audley Shaw Manayar. In the growth and development of our country, we see the value of the level of collaboration that he has been able to forge as Minister with the various sectors that are so important to enable completion of our projects and implementation of our policies. We further recognize, Madam Speaker, that this sector needs all the support from government. We want to make that point in order to realize its potential and alleviate the impact of COVID-19 on micro, small and medium-sized enterprise sector. And I know that the Minister spent a lot of time on many areas, but he focused heavily on this sector because it's so critical if the recovery is to happen in a just and equitable way. So through the Exim Bank, 444 loans valued at approximately $4.5 billion were disbursed to some 100 small and medium enterprises. Furthermore, over 60 of the Exim clients were provided with the opportunity to save their businesses through loan restructuring and payment holidays to the tune of $973 million. The Ministry has also earmarked $600 million to be transferred to the Exim Bank to provide financing for productive MSMEs during the 21-22 financial year. In response to the COVID-19 pandemic, Madam Speaker, support was provided to the business process outsourcing sector, the BPOs, to allow for adjustments to business models, including the institution of work-from-home arrangements in meeting social distancing protocols. Madam Speaker, despite our early job losses, with the support provided, the sector rebounded, with JAMPRO facilitating the expansion of 5 companies with the potential to add some 3,000 new BPO jobs to the sector. It further supported the sector through the Investment Ministry by providing a national 5-year global digital service strategy plan that will see the further expansion of this industry. The strategy aims to increase the sector's employment towards achieving some 70,000 jobs by 2025, up from the current 40,000. We're also happy to announce, Madam Speaker, that 11,000 new jobs were created in the financial year, up from the 6,500 reported in the sectoral presentation, and 755 million in export sales were also facilitated. Strong performance from the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, as we recover faster, stronger and better, another critical industry is agriculture. In fact, in 2020, Minister Floyd Green noted that the sector saw an 8.4% increase in export earnings, valuing US $238 million, which is up from $216 million US in 2019. The agriculture sector also recorded the highest level of output last year, with a growth of 1.2% for the period. The sector produced 697,679 tons in 2020 in comparison to 689,080 tons in 2019. The sector will soon benefit from more than 350 million in new investments that have been made by a number of business entities. And these include, Madam Speaker, 250 million new agro-processing factory in Innswood, St. Catherine by Shaver, and a 100 million agro-processing facility by Spurtree Spices Limited at the Holland Estate in St. Elizabeth. These investments, Madam Speaker, are in addition to the 15 billion by Caribbean Broilers to expand its poultry and related operations, Rainforest Seafood's opening of a newly built Bami making factory, Separate Limited's exportation of cassava flour, Salada Food Jamaica Limited production of turmeric and ginger tea, and B&D Trawling Limited manufacturers of escovitch sauce. Madam Speaker, the government will be spending $605 million this year to lay irrigation pipes and strengthen capacity building initiatives within the agricultural sector. We have also allocated another $300 million to dig wells in Parnassus, in Clarendon. To further boost the capacity of the farmers and fishers of this critical sector, Madam Speaker, we have also allocated a sum of $1 billion under the Production Incentive Program for the 2021 fiscal year. This will be used to facilitate crop and livestock support, climate change adaptation and mitigation, infrastructure support, grant assistance, agricultural promotions, buyback programs, and equipment. Education, youth, and information. Madam Speaker, it goes without saying that we cannot grow and advance our society without an educated and well-trained workforce. It was therefore very important for us to quickly implement measures that would ensure that no child gets left behind, despite the challenges presented by the pandemic. It is against this background we note the plans and programs led by Minister Favour Williams and her team at the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information as we recover faster, stronger and better. And these include, Madam Speaker, the creation of an online repository of lesson plans for teachers, This central repository of lesson plans will promote collaboration among teachers all across the education sector and make the sector more efficient. Introduction of character education. My God, we've wanted to hear that for so long. Which seeks to instill good moral values in our students. The provision of $720 million to the Own Your Own Device, OYOD initiative, which grants students who do not benefit under the PATH program the opportunity to access a $20,000 voucher to purchase a tablet or laptop from an approved vendor. For the information portfolio, Madam Speaker, our goal there is to see the full implementation of the digital switchover from analog free-to-air television to fully digital free-to-air television. Approximately 83.7% of Jamaicans will use analog free-to-air television service with very limited choice in terms of channels. And that's what happens now. Fully digital free-to-air television service will significantly improve the number of channels, thus allowing Jamaicans wider access to information, and that is critical. We have begun the process to transition and expect that by 2023 the process will be completed. Housing, urban renewal, environment and climate change. Madam Speaker, as we recover faster, stronger and better, we also note the strides being made to make housing solutions accessible to more Jamaicans. We are still on target to provide 70,000 houses within the next 5 years, and we are working with the developers to bring down the price points, average of some $5 million for a standard one-bedroom and $8 million for a standard two-bedroom room. Minister Pernell Charles Jr. shared that there is also a need not just to build, but to design the framework for a housing sector that is sustainable and resilient. Therefore, a comprehensive national housing policy will be placed before Parliament to address the complex housing challenges. Madam Speaker, Jamaica will also have access to $1.1 million US grant from the Green Climate Fund to commence preparation for Jamaica's National Adaptation Plan. This plan will include a private sector engagement strategy, a finance strategy, and an investment plan for adaptation. Another highlight happened in April 22 on Earth Day, Madam Speaker, when 40 world leaders, including our Prime Minister, participated in a leaders' summit on climate hosted by the US President Joe Biden. During the summit, the Prime Minister highlighted that the need for meaningful climate action has never been greater than now. Local government and rural development, Madam Speaker, Minister Desmond McKenzie, leading his very strong team as we recover faster, stronger and better, will this year roll out $650 million program aimed at improving the lives and economic well-being of rural communities across Jamaica. The Rural Development Program will begin in Chambers Pen, Hanover, during the first half of 2021-22 fiscal year. During his presentation, the Portfolio Minister said that the program will involve the installation of water, electricity, internet access, roads, sidewalks, community parks, and indigent housing. He also said that the program will give new life to our rural communities over the next 2 years, a situation that Jamaica is impatient of because we need to recover stronger, better, and safer. It will also create temporary and permanent employment opportunities, and indeed the Minister outlined a raft of summer employment programs and other programs that will assist our young people and enable the improvement of well-being within communities. On energy, science and technology, The science, energy and technology portfolio, Madam Speaker, has a strategic role to play in repositioning the country for a bold and brighter future for the Jamaican people as we recover faster, stronger and better. Minister Darrell Vaz highlighted that his team will connect 461 public entities, including 196 schools, in response to the pandemic under the first phase of the national broadband program called the Last Mile Initiative. This is expected to generate 800 million Jamaican dollars in economic activities annually. In addition, Madam Speaker, the government will spend more than $1.25 billion to provide ICT assets to some 27,000 students and teachers. The ministry has also allocated $550 million from across its portfolio to support the move to have the National Broadband Initiative designated as a national development project. The initiative aims to have every household and every community connected to the internet by 2025. This is in addition to the $177.6 million to be provided by the World Bank Planning Institute of Jamaica combination and just over 80 million to be provided by GovNet and other existing information and communication technology projects funded by the loan agreement with the Inter-American Development Bank. Approval was also granted for a third service provider, Rock Mobile, to be granted a license to operate in Jamaica. Madam Speaker, it is important to acknowledge the yeoman work that the Minister of Health and his team in the ministry have done in the management of this COVID pandemic. Indeed, Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Health and the wider public have provided health systems and built capacity as we fight the scourge of COVID-19. Jamaica, despite the challenges, has managed to keep a reasonably successful lid on COVID-19, and this is testament to a strong and effective leadership. Madam Speaker, despite the challenges our health system continues to face during this pandemic, as we recover faster, stronger and better, we are still on target to complete the objectives of our 10-year strategic plan, which we began in 2018 for the renewal and rebuilding of the public health sector. Minister Tufton and his team will be conducting a number of upgrades to hospitals across the country. This includes, but not limited to, 4.9 billion upgrade for building and equipment at the University Hospital of the West Indies. $2.3 billion upgrade, now in design stage, for the Spanish Town Hospital. $545 million upgrade, also in design stage, for the St. Anne's Bay Hospital. We have also invested, as the Minister stated, US $8.5 million in a digitized integrated health information system to improve patient care and efficiencies. National security, Madam Speaker, our Deputy Prime Minister and National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang noted that we will be placing special focus on the modernization of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. They will adopt a holistic, modern and integrated strategy to combat criminal violence. In this regard, the following areas will be tackled. 1, a drive towards a sustainable reduction in criminal violence, which demand, of course, the aggressive reorganization and modernization of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. Madam Speaker, patrol cars are now equipped with a JCF Smart Check system. This provides officers with real-time access to various databases. This allows officers to ascertain details on drivers and vehicles. So if we're talking about intelligence-driven management, there we have it, Madam Speaker. A new station records management system, a case management system, and an assess management system are also part of the improved efficiencies of the internal business process and customer service of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of National Security is also procuring an electronic jail management system to digitize custodial management operations, and the long-awaited electronic traffic ticket management system will be launched this month. Under Project Rebuild, Overhaul and Construct, 202 police facilities were renovated and 5 new stations were constructed. And Madam Speaker, I crave your indulgence to involve a knowledge I personally have of this one, that the beautiful station in Adelphi is now renovated, completed, and ready for opening. Thank you, Minister. We also expanded the capacity of the police force to train up to 1,500 new recruits per year at improved training facilities. Ground will also be broken soon in Kingston for Jamaica's first autopsy suite. Upon completion, it will give us a forensic pathology unit that is comparable to any in the world. Transport and mining, Madam Speaker, as we recover faster, stronger, and better. Transport and Mining Minister Honourable Robert Montague highlighted in his presentation that the government, through the Mining Training School, is provided training for Jamaicans working in the sector. The training is being delivered with the assistance of the Council of Community Colleges of Jamaica and with the hope of lifting the standards and transforming mining into a more sustainable industry. Madam Speaker, we are also committing the $13 billion Airport Development Program, which includes the Sangsters International Airport runway expansion, shoreline protection works, and the expansion of the arrival terminals. And this is a very important part of building capacity to drive airlift into our destination. Work have also been completed at the Negril, Port Antonio, and Tinsenpen aerodrome facilities. Our students in St. Catherine, Madam Speaker, will also have access to trains when school reopens in September. This is as a result of the Jamaica Railway Corporation entering into partnership with the Jamaica Urban Transit Company and the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information to transport students via railway from Old Harbour and Linstead into Spanish Town. Madam Speaker, as we recover faster, stronger and better, I'm positive of our local entertainment practitioners. We're happy to learn about our preparations for the reopening of the wider entertainment sector announced by the Minister, the Honourable Olivia Babsy-Grange. We have revealed our proposed list of approved venues that will be made available at subsidized rates as a stimulus for the sector, including the facilities at Independence Park, Trelawney Stadium, the Port Royal Entertainment Zone, including Fort Rocky and Fort Charles, as well as Seville Heritage Site. Consideration is also being given to reducing the fees charged by municipal corporations to stage events in anticipation of the reopening of the entertainment sector. And I think that one was in collaboration with the Ministry of Local Government. During her sectoral presentation, the Portfolio Minister also shared that the Ministry is in the final phase of developing an app that will allow more members of the entertainment, culture, and creative industries to register via the e-registry and apply for grants. The government has allocated some $50 million towards this initiative. A major part of our presentation, of course, had to do with gender issues. And I know that the Minister has a bill that will be taken shortly. We will speak even more clearly and cogently to that particular development. Our opposition spokesman on foreign affairs and foreign trade, Madam Speaker, I wish to highlight suggestions made by her in terms of her contribution. I will begin indeed with that contribution from Ms. Lisa Hanna, who in her presentation to the House urged the government to join hands with the opposition and to provide sectors to seek growth solutions by pushing a foreign policy which focuses on economic development. This is noted, Madam Speaker. Member Hanna also suggested that the government should expand trade with China and make Jamaica more consumer-friendly to Asian markets as a whole. The opposition spokesman on health and wellness, we also acknowledge the contribution of Dr. Maurice Guy, who urged the government to increase the number and access to the specific and overly sensitive antigen test kits as a deliberate strategy to lowering the cost, especially for persons on low to moderate incomes. She also emphasized the importance of opening the market for more players to bring in these tests and to maintain the requirement that all persons arriving at our ports of entry have a COVID-19 negative test at least 72 hours old, whether they are visitors, tourists, returning nationals, or Jamaican residents. And we note that, Madam Speaker. The opposition spokesman on local government and community development. Finally, Madam Speaker, we highlight the contribution of that presentation where the spokesperson, Ms. Denise Daly, who discussed the challenges and risks created by those who continue to dump garbage in our gullies and underscore that we must hold people accountable. She recommended that there be an established municipal court and ticketing system, employment of more litter wardens, employment of enforcement officers, and a public awareness campaign to engage communities about proper garbage disposal. These were strong positions. Madam Speaker, a number of other key and important presentations, suggestions, and valued guidance were given by our opposition spokespersons, and you would appreciate that we would not be able to contain it all in this particular closing, but to indicate that in all, both sides of the House made a fulsome and thorough and what I call an effective contribution to the development of our people through the debate that just ensued. Madam Speaker, I turn now to the tourism sector, and you will allow me to complete the elements of that which we didn't have a chance to complete because of the time constraints that we endured at the start. So the Ministry of Tourism, Madam Speaker, and its public bodies remain focused on laying a firm foundation to enable the tourism sector to thrive in the post-COVID-19 era. This objective has guided several strategic texts taken since I last updated this Honourable House on our efforts to rebuild the industry when I opened the sectoral debate in April. I am pleased to share, Madam Speaker, that there have been many positive developments since then that are certainly worth highlighting as I bring the curtains down on what has truly been a very stimulating, insightful, and spirited sectoral debate. Madam Speaker, I begin with the update on the Tourism Workers' Pension Scheme because I believe that this is at the heart of the social security arrangements for the workers of the industry. And I would like to inform this Honourable House that we have had to make a small change in the leadership of the Board of Trustees. The very effective Chairman, Mr. Richard Powell, has been called to higher duties as a member of the Board of Bank of Jamaica. And as a result of that, Madam Speaker, we've had to ask a very outstanding Jamaican banker, Mr. Ryan Parks, to assume the responsibility of chairmanship of the board. The fund administrators, Guardian Life, Madam Speaker, is now ready to accept applications for membership for the pension scheme. And that's a very important point that I want to indicate. And we have established September 1 as the commencement date for applications for members. And these applications can be done virtually or in person. The Ministry also recognizes, Madam Speaker, the challenges that the COVID-19 pandemic has presented to employers in the tourism sector. And in light of this and the problems that we know has happened as a result of cash flow difficulties, the industry burned cash, literally burned cash, in order to just stay alive during those 14 months. And so we have agreed to revisit the timeline for the start of the employer contribution. And so we have agreed with the sector that, and I have to come to Parliament, of course, to make that adjustment, that the contribution for the employers will commence January 2023. But instead of the 3% contribution that they would make now to match the 3% of the worker, they will start at 5%. I think that that has been a very reasonable and acceptable formula so as to enable a win-win situation. Because as you recover, they needed the cash flow support to enable the growth and to be able to deal with their obligations. Madam Speaker, another key update as we recover faster, stronger and better is the recent groundbreaking, of course, of the Sandals-Duns River, which I indicated to you that the investment in tourism was at $2.5 billion over the next 5 years. But it's important to know that it was not just a projection, that the actual start was happening even before the closure of the sectoral debate. And so we're very pleased that ground was broken for the Sandals-Duns River to form part of the bigger plan to see the transformation of the former Jewel Duns River Beach and Resort into a very powerful, strong program, a new Jewel Runaway Bay Beach Resort and Water Park, and 3 distinct ultra-modern properties under the Sandals Beaches brand, and for an expenditure, Madam Speaker, of $230 million to employ just over 500 additional rooms within the area, thus boosting employment by a little over 1,200 people. And that's very significant. In addition, Madam Speaker, not to be left behind, the City of Kingston will see the development of a welcome new luxury 14-story resort residential complex to be built in Kingston, which will provide 400 jobs during the construction phase. And the long-term employment for this will be a few thousands as they are computed. And this is to be adjacent to the Terra Nova All Suites Hotel at Waterloo Road. And this development presents a dynamic touch to the tourism product of the city. The project is being undertaken by the Hussey family, which also owns and operates the Terra Nova All Suites Hotel. This is the only, Madam Speaker, this is only a small glimpse of the 400 rooms more that we are breaking ground for. And you will be hearing more as the Princess will be done in short order, as Hard Rock will be done in short order, as Secrets in St. Anne will be done in short order, and also the Montego Bay Dreams to be done in short order. Madam Speaker, a critical component to affirm this massive increase, and a little later on, when we talk about the Montego Bay reimagining, I will speak to another set of investments there. But a critical component to affirm this massive increase in rooms is a bill which is tabled today, or will be tabled today, by the Minister of Finance, the Honourable Nigel Clark, which is entitled An Act to Amend the Casino Gaming Act. And whilst we will not spend time now to talk about it, it will be a game changer in terms of a new product that will create a game changer in the area of tourism experiences in Jamaica. Madam Speaker, as we recover faster, stronger and better, I am pleased to announce that the Tourism Enhancement Fund, and I want to make this point that this is a direction from the Prime Minister, because the Prime Minister seemed to have taken a particular love for Montego Bay, and I'm not saying it against his love for anywhere else, but I'm saying with a level of pride and happiness, you know, as a Montego Bay person. and coming out of the opening of the finest beach park in the Caribbean, Harmony Park. the Prime Minister said, Minister, you must take on the hip strip.
Yes.
And so, Madam Speaker, just to let you know that in 2009, we had actually developed the plan for the hip strip. And in this budget, we had
Madam Speaker, I now ask that the standing orders be suspended to enable the Minister to continue his speech to its conclusion, notwithstanding the time limit placed on presentations. Thank you.
The question before the House is that the standing orders be suspended to enable the Minister to complete his presentation. Those in favour? Those against? The ayes have it. Minister, you may complete your...
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and my indulgence to the Honourable House for its kindness in this regard. So, Madam Speaker, in this budget year, the project overall cost for the reimagining of the hip strip is $1.2 billion. But in this budget year, we have put in $150 million to commence the preliminary work. And I was hoping that we would have had some slides up there to show you some renditions of what the hip strip is going to be like. I'm sure it's not going to be called hip strip at the end of the day, because it's going to be a transformation like we've never seen before. The plan includes physical improvements, new product development and substantial operation, heavy streetscaping, and the possibility of pedestrianizing the area after we have completed the transportation and road network building in the Montego Bay area, to look at facading through the entire area on a thematic basis, and to develop an entertainment park which starts from the Harmony Beach Park all the way to Dead End. And Madam Speaker, in pursuing a new type of product within that area of the hip strip, we want to minimize the all-inclusive offerings in that area. And so I'm proud to tell you that a Jamaican, a regular, beautiful son of Jamaica, has brought to us the building construction of the most significant structure that would be on that hip strip. A 13-story mixed-use facility for hotel and residences and for entertainment on the hip strip to bring $7.9 billion of investment in this area on the hip strip. And I want to make the point, it's a Jamaican that look like me and you. And we are proud that the industry of tourism is getting to that point of inclusiveness where any and every one of us can have a chance to put a stake and build at the level of what this brother is trying to do. Ownership, Prime Minister, and that is very critical.
We don't talk about it, we do it.
We don't talk about it, we do it. But in addition to that, to complete the thinking of the reimagining of that area, is a program that the UDC and ourselves are working on, which will come to this House shortly, with regards to Catherine Hall, and with regards to the building out of the promenade from the cruise terminal in the Freeport along the seafront on to join on to the Harmony Park and then into the hip strip. Madam Speaker, it is envisaged that in this we will have an entertainment development area. We will ensure that the access to craft development and artisan activities will be right there within that space, along with the fisher folks and a proper fisherman's village like what we did in Ocho will also be there, so that we will have for the first time a complete tourism experience with cruise, entertainment, craft, art, fisherman's activity, and then we move on into leisure and beach activities, and then we go into something like a city walk in Orlando, where you just move from entertainment center to entertainment center with shopping, with living, high-level living, and a fully landscaped seascape area. In the process, we are going to bury all those utility wires that you see hanging on the hip strip. And so when you walk through the area, it will be friendly, pedestrian friendly, and it will enable the visitors and the Jamaicans alike to interact and interact freely in those spaces.
And eventually we will move the traffic off that road.
Of course, that's the point, Prime Minister, to pedestrianize it and to enable for our people to have use, full use. And I want to make the point, Prime Minister and team, that the reimagining of that experience is not about tourists. It's about people of Jamaica and particularly the people of Montego Bay. And when we do it, we invite the tourists to come and enjoy. So we're coming to Charles Garden Market. We're coming to Charles Garden Market. So, Madam Speaker, the look and feel of that new reimagined Montego Bay will be reminiscent of South Beach in Miami. So if you have been to South Beach, you will know the look and feel of what we are talking about. Madam Speaker, I'm pleased to inform this Honourable House that during the recent weeks, I, along with the Minister of, the Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Senator the Honourable Orbin Hill, went to Spain and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And in the process, Prime Minister, I wish to announce to this House that we met and, of course, had strong interaction with a number of our current investment partners in the tourism sector, as well as some potential new partners. And of course, Prime Minister, true to what we want to do in terms of building out capacity for the supply side, and this is what the resetting of tourism, which I'll talk about a little later, is all about. We were able to meet with a number of logistics companies that are involved in supply side activities for tourism and showed how we propose to reset our own positions to be able to retain more of the tourism dollar in Jamaica and to insert more of our Jamaicans in the value chain of tourism, and the need for investment participation and partnership, and to develop even a new concept which we're talking about called co-petition, which I will talk about a little later on. So, Madam Speaker, we're pleased to announce that out of that came the conclusion of the arrangements for the 1,000 new rooms that I spoke about a while ago, the 700 slated for Richmond in St. Ann, and the 280 by Secrets in Montego Bay. Madam Speaker, we then went on to meet with the Secretary General of the UNWTO. And I'm pleased to advise that Jamaica, as the chair of the Commission on the Americas, will host the 66th meeting of the Commission of the Americas on June 24 and 25 here. And for the first time, the Secretary General of the UNWTO, Mr. Zorab Polo Lixkavili, will be our special guest in Jamaica, and it will be his first visit into the Caribbean. But we went further from there, Madam Speaker, to Saudi Arabia, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, where I was invited specially by the Minister to participate in the discussions on global recovery for tourism, but also to have discussions with regards to tourism investments, and more so to look at how a country that traditionally has been an oil economy and we know that Saudi Arabia is the third largest oil producer in the world, is now transiting from oil as the base of its economy to tourism. And to be doing it at a time in a pandemic. So it speaks to something that is happening there that we need to take note of. And so there's a $40 billion US development project in the Red Sea to create islands in the Red Sea. It will be the most ambitious tourism project arguably ever in the world, bigger than what happened in Dubai. But the interesting thing is that it's going to be energized not by fossil fuel, which is what you would normally expect, but renewables, wind and solar. And so the discussion Minister Hill had, and I'm sure he will have more to say about that later on, looked at how we can collaborate in many ways to benefit from this initiative, particularly with the renewables, because 50% of the energy needs of Saudi Arabia is going to be driven by renewables by 2030, according to their projection. And I'm very pleased to announce, therefore, that His Excellency Mr. Ahmed Al-Khatib, the Minister of Tourism, will visit Jamaica on the 24th and 25th, along with the Secretary General of the UNWTO, to foster greater collaboration between the two countries, because they see Jamaica as a successful tourism model. And he said to me, we want to copy some of what you did here in Jamaica in the development that we're having for Saudi Arabia. I felt a little humbled by it, but greatly honored by it. And so within a week and a half or so of our returning, to have him visit us is a statement indeed that is worth taking note of, that Jamaica is doing something that the world is taking note of. Madam Speaker, the Resilience and Crisis Management Center that we have at the university did not escape their attention. And it is intended that you will visit there, both men, and we will look at how to collaborate further in terms of building sustainability and resilience as the double link arrangement for the future of tourism development worldwide. Madam Speaker, as we emerge, and I say this with some humility, as a world leader in developing innovative responses to the COVID-19 crisis, which have successfully guided the safe and seamless reopening of our tourism sector. We recognize that it is imperative that the sector survives during and beyond the current crisis, so that it can continue to fulfill its vital role as a significant catalyst for global economic recovery and growth. A key aspect of our strategy moving forward will be to target the Generation C travelers. We have defined that and given it to the world, Generation COVID. It is our coinage that the world has taken on. And they recognize that this set of travelers, yes, IPO, and they recognize that these travelers are those travelers whose experiences and expectations have been shaped by the health and safety risk of the pandemic, and who are seeking destinations that have strong health security properties. We must therefore use this pandemic and the ensuing changes in the sector as an opportunity to better facilitate the needs of the Gen Z traveler. In this context, Madam Speaker, the strategic framework for resetting Jamaica's tourism will be guided by the Blue Ocean Strategy, which will allow us to meet our growth targets of 5 million visitors, earning $5 billion, and to provide 5,000 new rooms by 2025. It will require a shift in the mindset as we seek to uncover hidden opportunities in the tourism industry amid the COVID-era economic crisis. A Blue Ocean Strategy calls for the creation of business models that depart from the traditional models based on head-to-head competition and gaining market share. Instead, it will see our ministry pursuing enhanced value creation through production differentiation and diversification. Resetting Jamaica's tourism will identify and establish innovative policies, systems, protocols, and standards that assure our visitors a safer, secure, and seamless experience while building out a new tourism model based on a diverse portfolio of unique and authentic attractions and activities which draw heavily on Jamaica's natural and cultural assets. Madam Speaker, I mentioned co-petition a while ago, and it is in that context that the concept of multi-destination tourism is being pursued. And already there are 6 countries of Central America and the Caribbean, particularly geographically congruent, that have come together to look at how we can collaborate, cooperate while we compete. And so this concept is guiding the way of how recovery can be had in an environment where there is scarcity and where there is insufficiency in some areas, but indeed together we can have sufficiency to bring greater volume into our space. And so in that context, Jamaica, Mexico, Panama, Cuba, DOMREP, and last week the US Virgin Islands came. The commissioner flew all the way down to meet me in Montego Bay to say the USV wants to be part of this co-petition process because we believe that together we can be so much more than operating singly. And this is what is going to drive the new arrivals into our area, particularly for the far-flung destinations. And when the larger airlines that would normally not come into our space, but now will be able to bring 600-700 passengers a time, and some with 400 and 380 a time. And then when they come into the space, they can then disperse into the different destinations as though they were coming to one. The opportunity to create a single product that is marketed in that way, so that when you buy Jamaica for 3 weeks, you're coming in this space. You can buy Jamaica, Panama, DOMREP, Cuba, Mexico, and I hear Costa Rica is now interested for the 3 weeks at the same price. And that's a new way, Prime Minister, of ensuring that we could build the critical mass that is required for 2 things. One, to secure that the travel agents, the airlines, and the tour operators are interested in us. And secondly, to build capacity for supply so that our manufacturers in Jamaica can now not only be looking at manufacturing for the Jamaican market, but can see themselves with an expanded market in Panama, in Cuba, in Mexico, in DOMREP, Costa Rica, and now the Virgin Islands. And this is a new way to ensure that we can create. Yes, of course, but what this requires is a harmonization of a number of policies. And we are going to discuss those, how we look at how to harmonize policies and how to create a single space that will allow for movement at a price that is affordable to the partners. So it's a little way to go. During the meetings of the 24th and 25th of June, Madam Speaker, a number of these ministers will be talking to us, and Jamaica and Mexico are tasked to prepare the groundwork for this co-petition, which the world is now embracing as the way forward to build capacity. Madam Speaker, I want to make a very important point here with regards to how we move forward again in this blue ocean economy. Because we believe that tourism is driven by ideas. And it is ideas that is the power that drives the creation of experiences. And the ability to convert ideas into material goods and services is what will help to differentiate you. And in the context of co-petition, it's not about doing the same things that your friends and neighbors and other companies are doing. It's how can you add value to what everybody else is doing, but you're doing it differently, you're doing it better, you're doing it more efficiently, and you are being special in terms of your creative outputs. And so, Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Tourism intends to establish a tourism incubator to nurture new and start-up tourism enterprises. We will initiate discussions with our potential partners such as University of Technology, University of the West Indies, Jamaica Business Development, Jamaica Promotions Corporation, to foster innovative ideas and how we can differentiate our sector from our competition in keeping with the Blue Ocean Strategy. We will also be seeking partnership for the provision of grants and loans to support the development and commercialization of ideas generated from the incubator. So we are going to be calling it a name. You know, Jamaicans go with acronyms. So we are talking about now, and the ITI will accept ideas that meet the criteria. One, the ITI will also accept ideas that enhance the tourism sector. This may be directly through the development of tourism products, example accommodation, restaurants and attractions, or the tourism value chain. The idea must be an innovation. And we want to make the point that the idea may not be an invention. It is not about necessarily bringing new things from scratch. It's about adding value to what you have. It's to be creative and to ensure that you can do more with what you have. So the ITI will support original, useful, or practical in nature from its function to its design. The idea must also have sufficient effect on the industry. Madam Speaker, a panel will conduct a review of these submissions, and successful candidates will be invited to a boot camp, which will provide participants with the training and support needed to develop their business idea, business model, business plan, and to have developed what we call a minimum viable product, or MVP. And this will boost their chances for effective startup. Then we are going to take them to something like a Shark Tank. I think you are accustomed to hearing that, where we bring entrepreneurs and investors to look at the ideas, but more so to look at the MVPs, to see what value they have and how they can borrow, buy into, or otherwise assume those MVPs and enable for the product to be developed. And where the Shark Tanks refuse ideas or MVPs, we then move them into Exim Bank, where we have $1 billion that we have put to enable loans for small and medium enterprises, as well as the Jamaica National, where we have $200 million for a similar purpose. In other words, we are saying incentivize ideas, remove the need for collaterals where young people have no assets but have ideas, and let us convert ideas into practical goods that can change the lives of the people of the country. And Madam Speaker, we'll hear much more. The TEF is responsible for building out that facility, and we will hear much more about that as we go along. Madam Speaker, I'm proud to say that we have been growing steadily the industry. And in the last 4 months in particular, Madam Speaker, the last 5 months, we have seen steady growth to the level where our numbers now are beginning to approximate the numbers of 2019. And I'd say that the month of May, we had a 73.5% average over 2019. And that was 25% more than what we had projected. And June so far has started strong. In 13 days, we have 80,000 visitors that have come to the country in 13 days. And what it says is that this month looked like 160,000 visitors, and that will rival our own projections. So, Madam Speaker, if we continue at this rate, we can say to the Minister of Finance, this quarter, ending June, is going to perhaps be his biggest quarter for recovery so far. And at the end of the year, if all goes well, we had projected 1.15 million visitors. It now looks like 1.6, an increase of some 460,000 which will bring, instead of $1.6 billion US dollars, $1.93 billion, an increase in projection based on the budget that I announced earlier on of $330 million. Madam Speaker, this can continue and happen if we maintain the protocols and if we ensure that in all of our doings we respect and honor the rules of the game. And it is in that context, Madam Speaker, that we are making the point that the tourism model can only work if the protocols that we have established since the onset of the pandemic are strictly enforced for the production and protection of the industry and the people of Jamaica, as well as our visitors. So recently, our sector's reputation for strict enforcement of our protocols, I think, was inked a little by the hosting of the now infamous Mocha Fest series of events in Negril and elsewhere. We moved quickly, Madam Speaker, to investigate the matter and determined that based on the video circulated, the promoters and the venue in question were in clear breach of the COVID guidelines. Following the investigation, a fulsome report was prepared and given to our Prime Minister. We then moved quickly to take the necessary action under the law to penalize and ensure strict adherence to the established COVID-19 health and safety protocols. Specifically, Madam Speaker, the TPD could revoke Ritz Cafe's COVID-19 compliance certification, forcing them to undergo a recertification exercise before being allowed to be reopened. The Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development ordered Ritz Cafe closed for 7 days and met with the management of the establishment. Our Director of Tourism reached out to the Mocha Fest organizers to urge them to curtail their activities to be compliant with the protocols. The Mocha Fest organizers cancelled the events, and the Westmoreland Police later charged the Ritz Cafe managers with breaches of the Spirit License Act and the Municipal Act. The Ministry of Tourism COVID-19 health and safety protocols, Madam Speaker, were developed to ensure the safety of Jamaicans and visitors. Reports of breaches of these protocols and the Disaster Risk Management Act are taken very seriously by us. And I can assure this Honourable House and all Jamaica that whenever it happens, and we hope it never happens again, appropriate sanctions will be taken and those individuals will be penalized in terms of their future arrangements with the tourism industry. Yes, and so what we are proud about, in fact, in all of this, is that there was a level of cooperation by the parties involved to ensure that these breaches, A, were understood, but more importantly, must never happen again. Prime Minister, this one will really make you feel comforted because, in closing, I want to say that the recovery that we've had so far, I can lay very positively at the feet of Jamaicans. I want to say it again because it seemed the House didn't hear. That the recovery that we've had so far, I can lay positively at the feet of Jamaica. Because during the period when we had 0 arrivals, and even when we opened and we were getting single-digit arrival, there's no way the plants in the industry could be open and remain open at that level of occupancy. And it was the Jamaicans who went and with 25% and 30% occupancy enabled us to keep staff and plant and activity alive and to restore and maintain the industry. And so, Madam Speaker, I just want to announce to this House that the industry overall have taken the position that we are not going to say thank you and close the chapter. But we are going to say that the way forward is now with domestic tourism and international tourism, and a special window and price arrangement is being structured to encourage more and more Jamaicans to enjoy hotel services and facilities in the area. Linkages for us is critical, and we are working feverishly to ensure that all of our players with ideas, all of our people who have a talent can have a place in this reset tourism. Tourism will be not just by definition of a business model all-inclusive, but truly all-inclusive by way of insertion in its value chain. And I'm excited about that. But I couldn't close this debate, Madam Speaker, without mentioning this Honourable House. And as leader of government business, I would like to provide the House with a brief update on a number of critical parliamentary reforms and ideas that we're looking at. And some, of course, Madam Speaker, which we're not ready yet to talk about, but we are working on and will be revealed over the next session or two of the Parliament, as we work closely with my opposite number on the other side in fine-tuning some of these thoughts and arrangements. So, Madam Speaker, with the objective of building out a fit-for-purpose structure and system in time for the completion of our new Parliament, we are commissioning an organisational review of the human resource capabilities required for an efficient Parliament. We're going to review this to enable us to justify reclassification of current positions, to create additional positions where necessary, to attract and retain the hard-working, capable and qualified individuals that we have, and to explore solutions such as contracting consultancies, boost capacity in some areas, for instance, the sessional committees. And the Prime Minister gave me some instructions on that, and I'll speak about in a minute. So, Madam Speaker, the Parliament, in partnership with the Cabinet Office and eGov Jamaica, is also working on the formulation and implementation of an information and communication technology ICT development plan for the Houses of Parliament in order to improve efficiency in all operations. Broadband, Minister of Energy, is a critical necessity, and we are going to make sure that our Houses of Parliament are properly equipped to be able to deal with all the elements that the new technology is offering. Madam Speaker, in addition, the Parliament is in the process of acquiring speech-to-text technology, and this is a very important development, because we quarrel sometimes about Hansard and we say we are not sure about what we said and we have to wait for days perhaps to get a reproduction. Well, we are now moving to acquire a speech-to-text technology for real-time reporting of the proceedings of both houses and the committees as well. So there will be no excuse for anybody saying I said but you didn't hear, or you think I said and you have misquoted me, because this technology will enable us to have instantaneous recall of all the deliberations in the House. The Parliament is also in the process of securing approval for the Public Procurement Commission to enable all of this. So, Madam Speaker, my Prime Minister has also asked me to immediately and expeditiously undertake a comprehensive review of the system of sessional committees and make recommendations as to the resources needed to improve their effective functioning. This is already in progress, Prime Minister, just to let you know, and we will report accordingly at the end of the next parliamentary session, which will begin in September, when we have the start of our state of constituency debate. And I wanted just to make a point about the state of constituency debate, because, you know, traditionally it is felt that the Parliament rubber stamps the budgetary provisions of the executive through the Ministry of Finance. But the objective of having these state of constituency debates is to ensure that the wishes of constituency, that the needs of constituency, that the requirements of constituency are inserted in the budget process. And the timing of it is also very important, Madam Speaker, because when we do September to October, the first budget call, I believe, is November, Minister of Finance, and that gives enough time for finance to recognize what we're talking about, so that when it comes back to us, we would be in a position to say, what happened to our insertion? Why was it not done? And I think that this is an important way of making sure that we can democratize the whole budget process, because it's a way of making sure that the people of Jamaica have a say in really what goes into the budget every year. And I'm excited about making sure that this particular debate, and I want to ask members to not only attend to hear what is being said about and the needs of other constituencies, but that we come on time every Tuesday from then on. The last point I want to make on that, Prime Minister, is that in discussing how to resource Parliament, we are going to be looking at what kind of technical support is required to give efficacy to the committees and their ability to discuss better and to interview better the public sector and the MDAs that come before us from time to time. It will also provide an opportunity for technical support for members so that they can provide better and more informed contribution in budget debates and also in dealing with bills and other measures that come to the House. So, Prime Minister, we are coming to you, sir, with a very strong proposal with regards to how to strengthen this Parliament, but more importantly, how to enable the members to have greater information at their disposal and to be able to use the tools better to prosecute on behalf of the people of Jamaica, because that is what our job is in this highest court of the land. Prime Minister, so in concluding, I want to affirm that the future of tourism in Jamaica is looking bright, that the future of Jamaica is in the right hands and in the capable hands of the most honorable Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Andrew Michael Boone. As we have heard, our vision speaks to strategic initiatives and partnerships that will diversify our product, build human capital, expand linkages with other sectors, target new markets, and drive a more collaborative approach to our tourism sector, while ensuring that the growing tourism industry benefits all Jamaica. I really want to say that we as a government will continue to function with zeal and a laser-like focus on problem solving, while not allowing ourselves to be distracted in our efforts to implement and achieve our manifesto commitment under the leadership of our Prime Minister, the Most Honourable Andrew Holness. As we recover faster, stronger and better, we will therefore continue to push forward with a spirit of hope for a brighter future with prosperity at the base for every Jamaican. I thank you, Madam.
Leader, thank you very much for an excellent and comprehensive summary of the close.
Thank you, Madam.
Thank you very much.
Madam Speaker, I move for the reversion of the order to allow for the continuation of...
Members, the question...
but Madam Speaker, before I do that, I just wish to close the debate and to move the appropriate motion for the Parliament to approve the debate as was presented, including the policies, programs and budgetary arrangements as presented by the ministers and the responses which were so effectively and ably put by the opposition. May it please you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, House Leader. The question before the House is that the motion be approved for the confirmation of the motion for the approval and the closure of the sectoral debate completed now today by the House Leader. Those in favour? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. Motion has been approved. Members of the House, also before you is confirmation of the fact that we will now move back to the item on our agenda because we had the standing order suspended to take us straight to the closure. So we will move back to the item on the agenda, which is, I think we were at notices of motions. But before I do, I just want to recognize a very distinguished gentleman sitting in our gallery, who is the Reverend Craig Tuckett. And I understand he is from the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. I welcome you on behalf of all of us as members of Parliament. Good to have you here with us. House Leader, go ahead.
Madam Speaker, I beg to give notice that at the next meeting of the House I will move, be it resolved, with reference to the resolution approved by this Honourable House on the 29th day of September 2020, appointing a Human Resource and Social Development Committee, that the committee be allowed to hold virtual meetings, whether wholly virtual or partly virtual and partly physical, utilizing available information and communication technologies in the manner more specifically outlined below. Preserving the rights, powers and privileges, including voting rights, normally accorded to a member of a committee. The committee is empowered to 1. Convene and hold meetings in virtual spaces created using information and communication technologies, which shall be considered committee meetings for the purpose of the mandate of the committee. To allow access and participation from remote locations, as are enabled by means of information and virtual technologies, by members and other persons authorized by the committee. 3. To include members accessing and participating from remote locations as a part of its quorum. 4. To receive, consider, deliberate on, and respond to feedback and submissions in formats, modes, and media, and via platforms, modes, and media enabled by means of information and communication technologies from any person. And 5. To consider any and all information generated, communicated, and received via formats, platforms, modes, or media as enabled by means of information and communication technologies as forming a part of the records of these meetings. Madam Speaker, I further beg to give notice that at a later stage today, I will move for the suspension of the standing orders to enable me to take the motion.
Madam Speaker, I beg to give notice that at the next meeting of the House, I will move to introduce and have read a first time a bill shortly entitled The Sisters of Mercy, British West Indies, Validation, Indemnification and Amendment Act 2021.
Madam Speaker, I beg to give notice that at the next meeting of the House, I will move to introduce and have read a first time a bill shortly entitled The Council of Community Colleges of Jamaica, Amendment, Validation and Indemnity Act 2021. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, I beg to give notice that at the next meeting of the House, I'll move to introduce and have read a first time a bill entitled the Casino Gaming Act 2021.
Dr. Chag, I think yours is a substantive one, so I'll ask you to hold a minute. Deputy, you have one? You did yours? Oh, very well. Dr. Chang, your motion, is this substantive?
Yeah, it's a little bit longer. Madam Speaker, I beg to give notice that at the next meeting of the House, I will move the following motions. 1. The law reform, zones of special operations, special security and community development measures. The August Town Zone, extension of period of operation. Number 3, Order 2021 resolution. 2. The law reform, zones of special operations, special security and community development measures. The Greenwich Town Zone, extension of period of operation. Number 3, Order 2021 resolution. The law reform, zones of special operations, special security and community development measures. The Denham Town Community Zone, extension of period of operation. Number 3, Order 2021 resolution. 4. The law reform, zones of special operations, special security and community development measures. The Mount Salem Community and Environs in the Parish of St. James Zone, extension of period of operation. Number 3, Order 2021 Resolution. The law reform zones of special operations, special security and community development measures, August Town Zone Extension Period of Operation Number 3, Order 2021 Resolution. Whereas Section 4 of the law reform zones of special operations, special security and community development measures, Act 2017, hereinafter referred to as the Act, provides that the Prime Minister in Council may by order declare any geographically defined area within a single continuous boundary in Jamaica as a zone of special operations for a period not exceeding 60 days if there are reasonable grounds to believe that due to rampant criminality, gang warfare, escalating violence and murder, and the threat to the rule of law and public order, it is necessary so to do. And whereas in accordance with that section, the Prime Minister in Council made the law reform, zones of special operation, special security and community development measures, August Town Zone Order 2020, and whereas that order provides that said zone shall operate for a period